Oh, thank God.
Now, there are nurses in all of them. And it's one of those characters that kind of there now because they're popular and expected. But the first nurses are controlled by a parasite on their back of some sort.
Hello, nurse.
Kind of puppet mastery.
It's like that one David Cronenberg movie. So which one is that? Shivers?
That one. Yeah, maybe Shivers.
Please, like, anybody listening who's young enough and thinks that, like, David Cronenberg is all about, like, East meets West and that stupid Freud Young movie or whatever, like, go rent early David Cronenberg and see what a master he used to be.
Make it lunch. That's a freaky film.
I'm writing.
I liked it better when I owned a typewriter that looked like one in the movie before it started changing.
I tried to do a Peter Weller voice there, but of course he's crying when he says that, so he doesn't sound Peter Wellery, so that was kind of a fail.
I'll bet Merriam-Webster does not have Peter Wellery.
Can also be Peter Wellier or Peter Welliest.
Peter Wellington?
Peter Wellerier.
Peter.
Oh, I see. The parasites keep moving. That's a little unnerving.
Yeah, the sound effect of their dying has been noted.
It's a little pro tip there, kids. Always kick a nurse when she's down.
Until she moans seductively. In Silent Hill 2, the sexual aspect of some of the monsters is a bit more explicit, but even from the start there's some suggestiveness.
Sure. I mean, that's a staple of horror, though, right? I mean, Bela Lugosi's Dracula was always meant to ooze a bit of sexuality, right? Oh, look, we had a bottle filled with stuff we could have just grabbed here.
Blood back. He's gonna do some science with this unknown liquid in this blood.
I seem to recall that liquid from the floor playing into the climax.
It's a possible alternate ending changer.
Aren't they all?
I believe the way he's playing it, he's actually gonna skip the main combat, or skip some of it.
I'm hoping we get all the endings.
I don't know.
Plate of turtle. I really probably should have looked. I mean, it most likely says, like, which ending this long play has, but oh well. If we only get one, that's okay. This is canon forever, then.
The plates are Alice in Wonderland themed.
Got it. I haven't been paying attention at all. Did Silent Hill have any licensed fiction come out of it?
It had a comic book series. It had an official website. I am not aware of any licensed fiction.
Seems like one that it would fit well, right? And like, especially, I don't know, John Shirley seems like he should have been tapped to write something for this.
Yeah, I agree.
John Shirley, also published by Leisure Books, which we've talked about before. Black Butterflies came out from Leisure Books.
I haven't looked too much into fanfic around Silent Hill because I don't know if I'm just lucky or what, but when I look into fanfic, I find some really fucking annoying shit right off the top that makes me want to avoid it altogether.
Yeah, it's fanfiction's always a mixed bag.
So, like, I'd find an M-Preg Harry Dr. Kaufman roller coaster wedding fanfic. What the Okay, I get it, you love the game. Great. I get it, you wanted to add to the game. Great. What you just wrote suggests to me that you were playing a different game.
Harry Mason cannot find Cheryl.
The end.
What do you
Oh, that puzzle's annoying too. You got a list of people at the age they die, and then you've got a list of
clouds flowing over a hill, sky on a sunny day, right? Tangerines that are bitter.
This one's colors.
Lucky four-leaf clover. I'm guessing this is a color-based thing.
Yeah, this is unrelated to the list of names outside. So this is color-based. The list outside leads to a number combination, I think, but you've got to order them. It's unclear whether you order them from top to bottom or bottom to top, and whether it's first name or last name makes a difference. I can't remember exactly how it works, but I imagine we'll find out shortly. Let's watch, shall we?
Let's watch as Harry Mason teaches us something.
To shoot doctors in the
I wonder
face.
what would happen if we were actually able to, like, shoot the parasite.
Not sure.
Like,
I mean, you
like then would the doctor be like, "Oh, thank God you saved me," and it's like, "Oh, just to be sure, I'm going to shoot everybody else in the face."
Depending on how our player chooses to play, you will actually see an example of what happens when you destroy the parasite instead of the person.
Jeez. Sorry, I gotta get my sleep apnea medicine.
Is there a medicine for apnea?
Like an inhaler thing, a CPAP.
Yeah, a machine. Yeah. I have such a machine. The closest to a medicine is like, that I've heard of is like Hall's mentholyptus. You rub it on your tummy for no good, medical good whatsoever. But it's a thing.
It's a palliative. It's a palliative panacea.
Does that mean it just kind of makes you feel better?
Sure, yeah. It's holistic.
Oh. There's a holistic wing at the VA hospital I discovered. I was surprised. I was actually kind of annoyed at first, but then I decided to just be surprised.
Alright.
Because they didn't do all holistic medicine stuffs, but they did. That's where they did massage and acupuncture and stuff like that actually does something. They don't have, like, cleanses and cupping and that stuff where you water everything down.
What? Hydrotherapy?
No,
hydroponics.
No, it's not hydro anything.
Hydrocephaly.
So you take a little bit of something poisonous and you water it down and water it down and water it down and water it down. Homeopathy.
As
near as I can tell, they don't do that. I sort of imagine a room in there where people sit around and talk about how bad vaccines are. Next door is an autism support group talking about them being assholes.
Now, there is cupping that's like related to acupuncture that is like it's kind of worthwhile. I mean, it's all about getting blood to flow in certain places, but
as a practice. It developed as a bloodletting practice.
Yeah.
And so they stopped cutting. I'm not sure whether it actually has good scientific evidence or not, but the fact that it started that way makes it a little suspicious to me. But then again, people are bringing back leeches, so you know.
Are they?
Of course they are. And snail facials, because someone did it in a comedy show once to prove that they could get people to do anything, and then they started actually doing it.
That's
But,
what PewDiePie got in trouble for, right?
Snail facials?
Yeah. Like, you got some Japanese tourists to do a snail facial.
That's not why he got in trouble recently. I've actually started to, like, find Chrome plugins to block mentions of him because I'm so sick of his face.
It's weird. I don't encounter any of those.
Well, I watch a lot of videos that are sort of adjacent to him. And follow some blogs that talk about how horrible he is. And like, yeah, I get it, and I don't want to hear about it anymore. Let's talk about all the other horrible shit. There's plenty. Like Scarlett Johansson.
Is she horrible?
No, but she took the role in Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
She's kind of become a symbol in certain circles of quote, white feminism.
She's now the Mickey Rooney of our generation.
Oh, I'm sure there are better candidates than her for that. I think it would have to be a group award.
Like, there had to be somebody between Mickey Rooney and Rob Schneider, but then it passed from Rob Schneider to Scarlett Johansson.
Trying to think. David Carradine, Kung Fu.
Yeah, all right. I can't remember if I brought that up here at all or not, but I happened to see a post a couple of months ago where so Netflix optioned Death Note so that they're going to make a live action series of it, and they released the actors that they had cast. Just showing who was going to play what parts. And somebody, a friend of a friend of a friend or whatever, made this post, and it was like, oh, I see they're getting on the PC train because they cast one of the characters as black, who wasn't originally black. And I was like, so pissed off about that, but not a word about the fact that all these other characters who are Japanese are being played by white guys.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. Oftentimes, from a certain viewpoint, they have complaints but are completely immune to noticing the same situation in the other direction.
Yeah.
I spent more effort wording that carefully than was warranted, and I think I just took the soul out of my point. Makes it harder to do your fill-in tests.
I think what you meant to say was that it's funny how people are jackass hypocrites.
Yeah, that was it. Oh, you have a way with words.
Jackass.
That's weird. Sometimes I catch myself being careful in situations where it's not called for.
Yeah.
I don't know where I picked that. Well, no, I know where I picked that up from being afraid of getting my ass beat when I was a kid.
Come on, lady. Come on. There we go.
The only way I could defend myself was with talking. If I couldn't talk myself out of their ire, I could confuse them until I could run away.
No.
I became really good at it. Mostly.
I just became really good at being quiet. which is not something I'm proud of, but...
You survive the way you can.
Put plate of cat on her.
I like games where you can use the things you pick up in ridiculous ways. It's like, yeah, okay.
Right.
It won't do you any good, but sure. Yeah, growing up was a shitty time.
Yeah. I do remember speaking out a lot about the whole, I was in high school during the big gays in the military debacle and the rise of Don't Ask, Don't Tell and everything, and I remember everybody being like, I grew up in rural Missouri, and there were a lot of people who were opposed to this idea, and I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, okay, so maybe you're uncomfortable being near a gay person, but is it gonna come up while you're, like, killing who we tell you to kill, you know? Like, I mean, that's not, like, what does it matter, you know?
The joke's on them. Don't Ask, Don't Tell made it harder to be gay in the military.
Yeah, I did not realize that until many years later. You know, at the time, I was like, oh, good. Like, Clinton thought of a compromise or whatever, you know? And then...
He intended well.
Yeah.
But the unintended consequences were wretched.
Yeah.
We created a new kind of witch hunt. Well, we can't ask, but if we find even the slightest hint, then we can start an inquisition.
Yeah.
And they often wouldn't process people out with that on, specifically named on the paperwork. So statistically, it looked like it wasn't a problem.
Right.
No, he didn't get out for Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He got out for fighting because some guy socked him in the face for being a fag.
It's kind of like, I remember having to, years ago, learning that you've got to kind of question numbers at every time. Like, somebody was, I read, I don't know, some article or something that someone had written about how statistics can be used to, how numbers can be used to manipulate statistics or whatever, and
right.
They were talking about how some, I think it was like a sheriff took over in an area, and for his re-election, it was like, look at how many fewer violent crimes there are now than when I came on board, and it was actually because they had, demoted a lot of things that used to be considered as violent crimes down to just misdemeanors or whatever. And so technically, the number of violent crimes were way down, but the number of the same types of crimes that used to be violent crimes were the same.
And often you can find, like, really finicky wording around the numbers, like, not less than, or, within this 3-month period, or, so to let you know that they're cherry picking.
Yeah.
I worked for a company that did phone surveys, and I didn't write the surveys. I wasn't in that department, but I called and administered the surveys, and it was very important to do each question verbatim, right? Because they'd planned and created this. Honestly, every single survey, they created it to present the numbers that they wanted, right? So they would say, for example, how much do you want Donald Trump to be eviscerated by wild hedgehogs? 0, not at all, I think he's awesome. Up to 9, I don't think it's a good idea to eviscerate anyone with hedgehogs. And so in the end they can say, like, 0 through 9 approve of Trump.
Yeah.
And the regular reader, viewer, is never going to see how that was done. How the question led the answer, and how the way of counting it forced the numbers.
Yeah. Similarly, whenever you see a story on the news that's like a new study has come out that shows blah 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 blah, blah, you know, like a glass of wine every day will make your dick grow an inch a year or some shit like that, and it's like these are they find and cherry pick these studies that are like pass number 1 of scientific, you know, like we had a study with a control group of 7. Came out with this weird finding. We're going to publish this so other people can try doing it in a bigger control group or with a bigger group, you know. And so
and like controlling for stuff. So like if you're doing dick growth studies, you need to not start with 4-year-olds, you know, that sort of thing.
Why do you just keep saying "what's this"?
Like someone's been here.
This is your bar for "what's this," Harry Mason?
It's his catchphrase. He's hoping to trademark it, get a line of T-shirts.
Is Alessa Cheryl? I'm so confused because these things aren't Cheryl. Man, when do we get the fucking morgue key? That's what I want to know. I'm sure the morgue is going to be super awesome.
I honestly can't remember if we hit the morgue. I know...
Can't put a morgue in a Silent Hill game and then not go there.
Yeah, I mean, we probably go to the morgue. I just can't remember specifically the Silent Hill 1 morgue. Or that there is one.
Oh god, that was a weird transition.
Yeah, that's the thing Silent Hill does is kind of cinematic camera swaps, which are neat to look at, but kind of a pain to play through.
Yeah. Harry Mason coming right at your face.
Bam!